Hello everyone and welcome back to MVP Mindset.
We're super excited for our guest today, Luke Swan, a member of our national championship winning team for men's tennis and a newly employed member of Nike.
Yeah!
Thank you guys. I feel like I'm not really a special guest. You guys are always a special guest. You need a shout out more often. So thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you. No, thank you for coming. And yeah, let's get started. Tell us a little bit about yourself and let the audience to know you better.
Absolutely. Well, my name's Luke Swan, known as Luke, as well as Swanee a lot of the time. I'm from Bristol, England. I have been in the US for, 12 years now, which feels like insane, half my life, and I still have a terrible accent. That's a complete mix between British and American. But I've loved...
British.
I have to. It's probably going to sound very British today because I like putting on a little bit. But, I've been in Wichita for the last 10 years, and then I came to TCU in 2021 just as a regular student. Absolutely loved the school. I'm a senior now, and it's been an incredible time. I walked on to play tennis my sophomore year. And was been part of the indoor national championship team and then the outdoor NCAA national champions last year, which was an incredible experience. And through all of that, I've been involved pretty much everywhere on campus, a little too much at times, or I'm spreading myself a little too thin, but I just love building relationships everywhere and making sure I'm meeting as many people as possible and hearing as many stories as possible. So yeah, it's about me.
That's awesome. Yes. So as you might know, like this podcast is focused on NIL, entrepreneurship, and we know that, and you said like you've been everywhere, and it's, where's Luke? Oh, maybe he's here, and that made you maybe meet a lot of people too. And we know that you've been working with different brands from Nekter to C4. Could you talk a little bit of how the experiences with NIL and with this brand has been?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously when I came to college, NIL was just starting up. And I've always loved making videos with my friends and for myself, just trying to be entertaining for my family. I'd always just used to send videos to my mum and see if she liked them, I was happy. But then NIL came around, I was like, I can actually do this with different brands and do brand deals. And I was pretty obsessed with it. I started doing videos when I was like 15, 16 on TikTok a lot, had a couple videos blow up, and I was like, maybe this is the path for me. And then I just cringed at myself like a year later. I was like, I have to delete everything that's out there on me.
Tell us something that you did that you might.
I would jump on trends. I would actually go on like YouTube and find just funny videos, and I would put my face at the start and then the funny video at the end of it. And it would do really well. I think my highest liked one was like 3.2 million likes.
That's great.
No way.
Yeah, so I'd make funny videos like that. I kept some of them. But I was kind of like building my own personal brand at the time. And then came to college, became a student athlete, and I was like, a lot of brands actually want to work with me a little bit. As you guys know, there's quite a different few portals. You have Open Doors, Postgame, 98 Strong, and they do a really great job at just giving you opportunities. I never really cared about the money. I'm a walk-on. I already am having to pay for college, or my parents are paying for my time here at TCU. I just wanted to help continue to make videos and build my own brand, and doing it with a different brand actually makes a great difference. So found out the first one I did was HeyDude, which was awesome. They sent me a pair of shoes and I made a fun video for it, which my friends absolutely loved. And I was like, okay, we got something cooking here. Maybe I keep doing it. Did it with C4 and then recently did one with Nekter. And it's funny to just do fun hype videos, lifestyle videos, instead of showing myself on the tennis court, because there's so much more to people other than just the sport they play or what they're doing in the classroom. So a lot of these brands really love when you show off your lifestyle and what you're doing outside of your main sport or whatever. So yeah, it's great.
Absolutely. And I think you're honestly known around campus for being that person that really has that authentic personal brand, because you don't really incorporate tennis into any of your NIL deals, which is super cool. Capitalizing on that personal brand that you're inventing every day and just getting better and better. So I think you do a really good job at that on your socials.
Thank you, Gabby. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's definitely hard at times because I'm a walk-on tennis player on the best team in the country. Like, I'm not going to be playing very often. So a lot of time I had the mindset, like, should I even be trying to do this stuff? But it's a way in which I can put myself out there without like showing myself off on the tennis court, which I really love, and it just feels more, like you said, authentic to the person that's watching my video. So, yeah.
Coming back a little bit from how you started with these brands, how was like you reached them out? Reached out?
So I think the first one I did, the HeyDude one I did was with Postgame. They basically, you go into the app. This is like an ad deal for Postgame almost, but it's great. You go into the app, they have a bunch of brands listed, and you literally you write in, it says count me in, you write your Instagram down, and they DM you, you sign a little contract. Yeah, they sent me a pair of shoes, and they were like, we'd love to make you a video. I think the first one they told me, they were like, you'll find out if you're getting paid based on the work you actually do. And I thought I created a great video. It got like 15,000 views on Instagram and then same amount on TikTok. Didn't end up getting paid anything for it through the app, but honestly, I didn't really mind because it was still me growing my own brand, which was great.
But that's a good point. Like when you say like read your contracts and like go for, okay, yes, I'm doing this for fun, I'm doing this, but like it still is time that you're putting in, and time that you might be like, hey, no, if I do this, what would be the things back that you were giving me?
Absolutely. I think a lot of these brands are starting to figure it out where they're just trying to make it as easy for these student athletes to read, because when it's in bold print over 17 pages, no student athlete's going to do that, and no lawyer even wants to read through that. So when a company is laying it out much better and being much more transparent and giving you as much communication as possible with these deals, student athletes are much more likely to sign a deal with them because they have to go through less stress of actually reading it. I mean, no one really likes to read anymore. Everyone wants just something summarized. So that's why it's been great. Nekter, the most recent one I did, and a bunch of other student athletes on campus did it as well. It was awesome. They were just like 5 separate posts between stories, reels, feeds, Instagram and TikTok, and we'll send a certain amount of money, and then I did the job. So yeah, it was great.
Nice.
So when you're choosing these brands that you want to partner with, how do you look at what they're doing and make sure that aligns with what you want out of this deal or this company?
That's a great question. Yeah, so when I'm looking at it, I think the first thing I really do try and understand is, do I even know what the brand is?
Yeah.
It's hard for me to do a deal with a brand that no one really knows. I do like nationwide known brands just because then people see me working with them and it's more exciting. If I did it with a brand like that's maybe a Wichita local that no one really knows here at TCU, it's not going to get as much traction on the video. But when I do it with Nekter, which is all around the country, people get much more excited to watch what I'm actually doing with them. So that's a big part. I think that's the first step I take. And the second one is really what they're asking for the payment at that point. A lot of time you'll just be like, hey, can you make 3 reels for us for $50? And I'm like, no, I'm out on that one, I think. But I definitely think the price point for a lot of these student athletes is getting higher and higher, which is exciting for us because people like seeing our content. So
content is key when you're growing your personal branding, and you talk about it, and you say like you resonate more with video and like doing content reels fast, getting out of the tennis part, more lifestyle what you do. Do you think that resonates with your audience from the beginning? It did, or you've been kind of like, okay, with HeyDude, I'm doing some videos and try to figure out if this is what it works better, and then kind of improve it, or how has been your strategy behind your content?
That's a great thought. I'm a little bit all over the place. I've been trying to figure out my personal brand for the last 2 years, and I still honestly don't necessarily know what it is. It might really be I am just a bit all over the place because I have so many different interests. I love working with HeyDude, like a fun slipper brand, but then also working with juice bowls is great. And I know post-grad, I would love to keep doing this stuff, but I'm not going to be playing tennis in college. So is then my personal brand working for Nike, or is it just Luke Swan, the influencer? I don't know. I think content is king, but truly consistency is king. I think if you're constantly posting, at some point, it's gonna track, and people are gonna start wanting to see that every single day. I'm not great at it, to be honest. I posted 1 reel 3-4 weeks ago, and I haven't really posted anything since. A lot of the people that are the most successful are posting daily or every other day with something new, something fresh for their viewers' eyes to see. So it depends, and I'm still learning in the process. I am nowhere near a master in any of this, but I love to just create and see what happens and see if it sticks. So, yeah.
So shifting gears a little bit,
Yeah.
we know that you got to internship for Nike last summer, which is such an awesome opportunity, especially at TCU. It's almost like an award you win, which is so cool that you got it. Congratulations.
Thank you, Gabby.
So what were some of the things that you got from this experience and have learned?
Well, thank you very much, Gabby. I appreciate it. It's so cool what Nike does for student athletes. So there was a total of 185 interns this summer. About 40% of them were student athletes. And the way it works is, it's incredible. So Nike, with every Nike-sponsored collegiate school, they have a contract where they're required to take one student athlete from that program that's a rising junior or a rising senior across different schools. TCU, we only take one since we're smaller, but Georgia, for example, they take three, which is so cool because a lot of times student athletes, it's so difficult to find jobs, especially because you don't have the time to even look for a job. So Nike putting that right in front of us was fantastic. And I was so grateful to basically go and represent TCU. Incredible experience. The Nike headquarters are in Oregon, but I actually got placed in LA. And LA is what they call a key city for them. So if Nike wins a consumer in LA, they feel they'll win across the whole world. Because they believe that. Same thing, they have that in LA and then New York. Because if you see the brand in those big cities, everyone else is going to want to wear it at other places. So I'm a tennis player at school, but I actually got asked to work on brand marketing for running this summer, which was a whole new experience for me. I do not like running at all.
I saw you in the summer like running.
I know.
All the Instagram posts are running.
Yeah, so that was my job was to understand the consumer better within the running market in LA. And then more specifically for me, they wanted me to see how Nike can better attract themselves to women from the ages 18 to 25, a lot of just our Generation Z, which was really fun for me. It was tough, obviously, because it was from the female perspective. So I was doing a lot of calling with my friends from home, like, what do you think about the brand? And getting the honest opinions. And it was an incredible experience. The office is awesome. The people are incredible. And TCU just is a great name throughout Nike as well. So I felt pretty cool that I could say, I go to TCU and people feel attached to that. So it's cool.
Especially with the new CEO.
Yeah.
Being a TCU alum.
Elliot Hill.
Woo!
I know. That's huge.
So
Huge for TCU.
awesome.
Elliot Hill is incredible. I don't think I've ever met a person that hasn't called him a rock star, which is really cool.
Wow.
And the fact that literally, a month ago now, and he just started, I think this was his first week back on the job is so cool. Especially going from intern to CEO.
Crazy.
Insane,
LinkedIn
right?
looks so
LinkedIn's
beautiful.
awesome.
It looks so
Like Nike.
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty inspiring. I've had a couple people come up to me and be like, Luke, it's going to be you one day. I was like, okay, maybe 32 years down the line, we'll see. But right now, it's inspiring to see him back at the top. And it just makes me even more excited to go back there full-time post-grad.
Yeah.
And I'm super glad that you had that experience.
Thank you.
And that you really enjoy it. And
It's been great. And honestly, coming back to school, because it's such a big brand, Nike's honestly struggling a little bit now. It's just, there's other shoe brands out there, especially when you have Hoka, On, Brooks, Asics, they're all crushing it, even New Balance. Nike's honestly further down the tier list, but it's such a household name and they're always going to be at the top. They're always going to figure it out because they have so many great people working there. So when I come back to school, people are obsessed with the fact that I was interning there this summer, and I've just been trying to pour into as many students that are interested in it as possible, which has been great. I've been reading a lot of cover letters and a lot of resumes because they all want to do it because it's such a cool experience and their culture is incredible there. I haven't actually worked at another brand yet, but I can say from the experience of others that work at Nike and did previously work at other brands, it is far superior to anything else you could work for.
How would you say has helped you that experience of 3 months leverage your own personal brand? Yeah,
that's a great question. I feel like I've kind of turned into like the Nike guy on campus.
A little bit.
Like that honestly is my personal brand a little bit. Maybe that's my thing. It's just it's like Mr. Nike, Luke Swan. I'm like far from it. All I am is an intern. It really has in like my marketing classes. I'm doing like consumer insights and a couple other things. A lot of professors really value my opinion, and I think what I learned the most out of it is, especially in the marketing world and entrepreneurship world as well, our value as Gen Z students and just people in general is so much greater than you could ever imagine because everyone is trying to sell to us. So it's really cool being able to walk into a room and feeling my opinion really valued at all times, which I love.
Wait,
So
that's amazing.
Yeah,
yeah.
I never
Yeah.
thought about it like that too, because
Yeah.
I mean we're the biggest consumer market
exactly,
in the world right now.
exactly. So when I walk into the office this summer and people ask me, they're like, "Oh, Luke, what do you think about this?" I'm like, "Oh, I actually matter here," which is great. And I love that Nike just is a brand that really wants my opinion to be out there as much as possible, which is great.
They're innovative.
Yeah.
And they've been throughout the years. Did you see that while you were in office and with the different maybe projects that you were working on?
Yeah, it was great. I think innovation comes in all different shapes and sizes. A lot of time when you think of innovation, you think of just product and the new footwear or new clothing. But innovation can come in experiences and events as well. And I definitely felt that this summer. They did a super cool event towards the end of the summer, which I was working on but actually missed because I had to come back to school. They did a marathon relay race for 400 women inside the Coliseum, which is USC's stadium. It was so cool. Joan Benoit Samuelson, this is all the running knowledge I gained as well. Joan Benoit Samuelson, she won the gold medal for the marathon in the 1984 Olympics. I think she ran a 2-hour, 25 minute marathon, which is ridiculous. So they wanted to celebrate that being 40 years, where they had, I think it was 50 teams of 8 girls on each team running a relay race inside the Coliseum, adding up to the total amount of a marathon. So it was like a 1.5 mile relay race. It was awesome experience. That was probably a terrible explanation of it. But regardless, it's Nike trying to be innovative and trying to find new events for these consumers because they believe if we can create an event for a consumer that's so great and they just feel connected to it, they'll feel connected to the brand for the rest of their life. Because if you got that event when you're like 13 running in the Coliseum as a young girl, you'll want to stick with Nike for the rest of your life because all you remember is great times.
Yeah.
And at the end, branding is experiences most of the time. Like how, like what you remember of a brand is, how it made me feel. in
Yeah,
that moment, or
100%.
what I saw, you know.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
doing
I love that you say that because I always go around and tell people that and a lot of people do as well. It's like no one's going to remember what you said, what you did, but they'll definitely remember how you made them feel. Yeah. And Nike is trying to create as many great experiences in that sense as possible, which I love.
Do you think thinking about that demographic we were talking about, our age people, and you kind of targeting them within Nike, do you think that might open doors in the NIL world for Nike to kind of incorporate that age of, prime college students into their NIL a little bit?
I think so. It's a weird one because it's always been about, well, in previous years, it was always about the professional athlete. Whatever the professional athlete's doing, all these brands felt that everyone else will just follow. But the micro influencer is making huge waves in the world. It's like people feel way more relatable to someone that has 20,000 followers on Instagram rather than someone that has 5 million and you never see them at all. So that's where Nike is trying to move into that space a little bit, which is fun. It's exciting. I hope they take on more just student athletes that feel more relatable. And I know they are doing some work with them, but down the line, I'm not sure what it's going to look like. I hope so, because like I said, our value is so important and they can gain just as much knowledge that we can gain from someone that's worked there for 20 years because we are literally living in the world they want to sell to constantly. So yeah, it's fun.
Do you think that doing NIL and being throughout college has kind of affected you in a positive or negative light, or maybe a bit of both?
100%. I think it has impacted me so, there's only positives to it.
Awesome.
Imagine if I went straight to negative, that would have been bad. Again, I have really not made much money at all, but I've put myself out there, and that's the least I can do because I know any money I'm going to make as a walk-on athlete at TCU is not going to be comparable to what I'm making in my professional career of just working somewhere 10 years down the line. So how can I enjoy my time as much as possible with these brands and then be able to talk about my experiences when I'm interviewing for something or when I'm interviewing or when I'm just working in a brand separately. Like I can now walk into an interview with someone and say, hey, I got 100,000 views for this brand deal off a video I just made. Like they can't teach that to me. I can teach that to them, which again, talking about value and talking about the value of our age and our generation, companies will absolutely love that in every sense, and they would die to have someone like that on their team. For example, you guys interviewing 15, maybe more student athletes in their time of how they've developed as an entrepreneur and in the world of NIL, you can literally say, I've gained all this knowledge, let me share it to you, let me be a part of your team, which is value that people would literally die for, which is super exciting for you guys. Yeah.
Well, I love what you said before about like I'm not making money with this, but I've been enjoying working with this company, and I've been enjoying what I've done for them and creating the reels and creating the videos and what that teach you. But then you saw the value of doing that and moving like, hey, if I go into an interview, I can do that and I can give my insight of within, and I can teach them things that they might not know. So just realizing that everyone, they have their own identity, and then maybe you are not using NIL, like I would say like many student athletes and non-revenue sports are, oh, I'm not gonna make money with NIL, so why I will have any deal with any company. But if you shift the idea and like the angle and go like, okay, I'm not gonna make money doing that, but I'm gonna get like experience that maybe I'm not gonna do an internship because I don't have time because I'm a student athlete, so I can get a deal and get that experience and then bring that to an interview.
Absolutely, yeah.
So just like, you
it's great.
Really
and
well.
like you say, it could be an interview, or it's even, for example, Jake Fernley, great teammate of mine, just made the top 100 in ATP. Shout out Jake, unbelievable. He's ridiculously good at tennis, and he's working so hard to be where he is, but he doesn't really know what to do in terms of his branding space and what his personal brand is outside of tennis. That's what the consumer loves to see. So the little experience I've got as a 21-year-old in college and the videos I've done, I can now go to Jake and say, hey, you need to post this on your Instagram so your your viewers can see what you're doing outside of tennis, which is really exciting. And then I can then bring that to a brand and say, hey, Jake Fernley, great friend of mine, plays tennis, loves Barstool Sports, for example. So reached out to some good friends at Barstool and like, hey, we've got a huge fan of yours, great tennis player as well, would love to do a partnership. Ended up putting a Barstool patch on his sleeve for Wimbledon against Novak.
Wasn't he one of the first to do that?
He was so we made him the first ever professionally signed Barstool athlete, I think, if I said that right, which was awesome. Another thing about like the Barstool and Wimbledon stuff, like being a signed Barstool athlete Wimbledon, you never would think Barstool and Wimbledon in the same sentence. Completely different brands in their own right. So we were like, well, let's shake up the world a little bit and put Barstool on an athlete playing center court at Wimbledon. Such a cool experience, and everyone loved it. It was actually great for our recruiting as well, because a bunch of these young 16, 17-year-old boys that want to come to TCU were like, hey, one of your players was signed by Barstool. And they're like, I want to do that as well. So another way in which you can continually grow yourself and grow your brand in different ways. And just go there and do something crazy, shake up the world. That's what true marketers and entrepreneurs do. So it was a fun little snippet of that in my life. So,
And I think Jake is a great example of this. Like our Professor Bonos says all the time, you're only a college athlete for those 4 years. And so once you graduate, like what takes you on to that next level? Like Jake has tennis, but like you said, you need that personal branding. And so kind of coming at it from an NIL perspective again, do you have any advice to younger people who are looking to get into that world?
That's a great question. I mean, again, don't take whatever I say isn't necessarily going to be the right idea. But I said it earlier, like consistency and just doing is what is the best. It literally is the best thing. Just doing in every sense, like going out there and posting something of you going and get coffee. You don't know what that could lead into. Maybe your personal brand turns into you being a beach volleyball player and knowing every single type of coffee in the world.
That sounds so good.
It sounds great, right? But like you would never know that if you didn't go out there and just start posting what you're doing on a daily basis. Think about the things you love in your life and the different hobbies, and just share them with the world. And if people don't like it, we'll figure that out down the line. But I think as well, another thing is just don't overthink. People are so worried about what's going on in their lives that just go out there and do. People are going to forget what happened 5 seconds ago. Even if you slipped and fell outside, someone's worried about what homework they're doing the rest of the day. So don't overthink, just enjoy the work you're doing and enjoy the life you're getting to live as a young person in this age. Yeah.
And I
Snaps
think that's
for
a
that.
great advice from someone that
Yes.
you've done so many things, and I think that you can say too, like, help you to build your personal brand, but to build the person that you are, and also figure it out. Because I think when you come to college, it's like no one knows what they want to do.
No one knows. I had no idea what I was doing coming to college.
You know, me either. So it's like, it's a great opportunity to just go out and do many things as much as you can, meet people, network, and if you don't like that, okay, move on, do something else.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid of, oh, I'm not gonna do that because what someone is gonna say.
Just go out and try as many things as possible. I think I've fallen victim to that a little bit, and the problem is I've enjoyed a little too much as well, so I'm so obsessed with everything. But regardless, it's just do. I don't even know like what advice I could do, because I'm literally out there doing as much as possible, and I'm finding the things I like and I find the things I don't like you said, Luana. So it's a pleasure to be here, even like sitting with you guys and chatting about it. Imagine if I said no to this, you know? It's another thing. It's like, just say yes as much as possible. It makes a huge difference. So yeah.
Look, so now kind of looking ahead and
Okay.
kind of future, now you know that you're gonna be a Nike employee. So how do you see your next year coming after graduation? Both maybe still tennis wise, but also career.
Like post-grad is once I've graduation, or now until graduation?
You can both.
We'll do both. We'll go both.
Why not?
Now until graduation, enjoy being a senior in college. Like you said, everyone always says you're only in college once, unless you do a bunch of masters, which I won't be doing. Just going out there and just investing in the relationships I've already made, just enjoying the time with the people that I absolutely love on campus, spending time with Gabby and Luana especially. You know, it's just, that's the best part about college. People always say like, it's so important that you go and the best college, get the best degree. And again, I'm only a senior. I haven't seen much of what other people have done in other colleges. I'll see that once I graduate. But I can just say, if you go for it and do as much as possible with the people you love in your time at college, it will be well worth it. So I'm completely against anyone that says you can't have a great time in college and really get a true experience in your time and your major. So yeah, that's for right now. That's what I'm going to do. Enjoy everything. And then post-grad, I hope I'm enjoying everything as well. But I don't know what that looks like. I think post-grad, I'm probably going to travel for a little bit, go see the world. That's super important for me to continually travel, because you can't really understand the world if you don't see it yourself with your own eyes.
Come to Spain.
I will. I'll come to Spain. I'll come hang out in Spain. I'll travel a little bit, and then hopefully when I start work with Nike, I can continue to make that even my personal brand in some way. And just, I hope that wherever I end up with good people. And that's the reason I'm going back, is because Nike has created such a great culture with such great people. So why would I not, you know? It always goes back to people, doesn't it? So yeah.
And it's not work if you're doing what you love every day.
That's great advice, Gabby. One of my professors, he was like, a lot of the time we're trying to be these human doings. Like we're always trying to do something or create something as well, but instead of actually living life as a human being and just being present in the moment, which is super important in any part of your life you live. And that's what I'm going to try and do for the next however many years of my life, but especially now in the time I have left in college. So yeah.
And we've kind of forget, like, we have today, but you don't know if you have tomorrow.
Exactly. Maybe that's the true MVP mindset, Luana.
Yes.
Maybe you figured it out right
Oh,
Yes.
wow. He's just so good at transitions, Luke. We were just going to ask you what MVP mindset means to you.
I think it's that exactly. We've made the funny joke when you guys were filming downstairs. I think my first response when you asked me that was, when I think of the MVP mindset, I think of myself. Obviously being a joke. I think I've been so repetitive, I feel like, but the MVP mindset, I would just say in two different ways. Try as much as possible in anything, and you'll figure out what you love. You'll never truly figure something out if you don't fail. And I failed a lot in my time here at TCU in many different areas, hopefully not just academics. But so continuing to try, and once you fail, you'll figure it out. And then just being present, like we talked about, being present with the people you love and investing in the relationships you've been able to create in your time. And I think that will create a true MVP. So I'm going to go with.
Beautiful.
That's really
It was
good.
perfect.
That was perfect.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Luke, for coming today. It's always a pleasure to talk, to be with you.
I want to do
Thank
this.
you so
We shouldn't even be recording. We should just do this every day. It's been a pleasure. Thank you guys so much. This is awesome. So glad we're doing this. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Well, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Come on, do it. Do it. Do it.
Bye.